Live streaming is on.
All right, seems like it's working. Okay, do you want to take it away, Santiago, since you're the expert now?
Okay. Yeah, we are now at the Fatiando community call. Now we have Leo back after a brief vacation. So yeah, and we have also Austina. Do you want to not introduce yourself because I think you already have on previous video, but if you want to say something.
No, sorry. Hello. Well, nothing. Do you know me?
Okay.
Nothing to say.
Okay. Okay, so I think Leo has put some tips to discuss. Maybe we should start with the quick updates.
Yes.
Yes. So this is, I think, regarding the time of the meetings, right?
Yeah. It was mostly because this is a little bit late, so it's a little inconvenient here.
Okay.
But then anyone who's on the U.S. West Coast or we've been trying to get Craig here to discuss the Bugay stuff, but it's not hard to coordinate between England and New Zealand. So I figure we could alternate between doing it at this time or doing it 3 hours earlier at 4 p.m. UTC. Because then that's not too late here and it's not too early there.
Okay. Yeah, for us it's good. I mean, as in Argentina, yeah, we are good with those time. No problem with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's clever to alternate every meeting. Yeah. So next one would be next month, but at 4 o'clock UTC, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So do you want to pick a date?
Yeah, sure. October. Yeah, we have 15. It's Thursday. So maybe, yeah, in 1 month. That sounds clear, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Sounds good.
okay. Yeah, so shall we get started with the longer discussions?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just creating the calendar event because I'll forget afterward.
Okay.
So 16 UTC, right? All right. Save. Okay, all set.
Okay. So I will leave the link to the meeting notes if Faustina or anyone would like to add something or read it later. Where is it? Oh, here. No. Okay, I just posted on the Jitsi chat. So if you want to read it, you can.
I try to find.
Oh, yes. Thanks. Yeah, we always forget to share the meeting notes before the actual event. So it might be nice if we circulate this the day before, so that if anyone has any point that they wanna ask or anything.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I today I completely forgot about posting a reminder on Slack. But yeah, happens. But yeah, we can schedule something on the Google Calendar, so to add a reminder one day before, so we can add a reminder on Slack. I think we can automate make it automate, right?
Sorry.
Probably, yeah. There might be a plugin somewhere for Slack.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So, where are we now? All right. So I got an email from Hacktoberfest saying that it's time to prepare and start curating issues and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought it's a good time to bring it up because then we still have maybe a bit less than 2 weeks to try to do something. We haven't been super successful in the past. Like we got maybe a couple of pull requests here and there, but I think if we curate more issues that people don't really need to understand the projects too much to contribute.
Okay.
And there are some tasks there that are relatively simple, and then we could post this a little bit more widely. Yeah, so I don't know if there's a way to, if there's any page on GitHub or maybe like a search that collects the issues tagged with Hacktoberfest for all of our repos. So if there is, then we could share that URL.
Yeah. I don't know, but maybe let me try to search it. But Lido fast, something like that.
Yeah, and then we could make some more posts, like maybe post weekly on Twitter, and then do some call outs on the Software Underground as well.
I can
See if we can get anyone.
I can send information to Geolatinas. They are a coding group, and they are very interesting to collaborate.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Okay, let's set some notes. Yeah, and there's the I forget what's the name. There's it's kind of like Hell Latinas, but it's in Brazil.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't
So
know.
they have I forget now what the organization is called, but several people from Rio are involved. So I think I'll try to share this through them as well and see if they can if they're interested.
Okay.
I think that tomorrow is a meeting for the coding group, and maybe there I can to say something about this. Maybe because they are interested to learn how to use fatiando. So maybe I can just say something about this.
Yeah, that would be great if you could do that.
Yep.
And a bit maybe highlight as well that this is a good way if they want to learn how to work in larger projects. That we're more than happy to sort of guide them through everything.
Okay. Right.
Cool. Awesome.
So I figured out that we can use the GitHub search tool. So I left the link to list all open issues that has Hacktoberfest.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe we should see if we could add something like assignments, so we can list every issue that is not assigned. So if anyone says, I want to do this, we can assign it. And,
yeah, I think there might be a filter for assignment. Right. So one thing that I could do, so I could make a URL for this. So something like hacktoberfest.fatiando.org. So this could redirect to the list of issues.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
This
is the one thing. So managing the website is the one thing that I couldn't figure out. So the provider I use for the domains doesn't allow multiple managers.
Okay.
I think they were gonna implement that, but this is something I would want to look into, and then see if I can add more people as managers.
Okay.
Because it's very convenient to be able to do these things, and this is really easy to do there.
Yeah, sure. Lord.
Okay, and right. So one thing I'll try to do as well is try to get some of the students I had last year, see if they want to try their hand at something, and then maybe the incoming students this year might want to get involved.
Sure. Yeah, sure. And the good stuff is that they don't have a deadline to finish the pull request, so it doesn't matter if they open it and it takes too long because they are busy with something else, or maybe the issue it's harder than it looked at the first time, which usually happens. So there is no deadline. You can open it on October and it still counts, and you can merge it whenever it's ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on Hacktoberfest?
I mean, maybe we could think about which issues we can open, or look for old issues that we might tackle. But maybe they need some update on the current status of the libraries. But maybe we can make something about new implementations of some easy feature, and also some maintenance issues, like fixing some typos, going through the documentation, or something like that. For example, we could open something on, but I don't know if anyone that is not close to the project would tackle down, but maybe add to Verde something like Butch has now. Like, if it's your first time with Verde, you can greet something with these very easy steps. Something like that would be nice, maybe. But
I think that would be maybe one of the larger tasks that I would output.
Yeah.
It would be great if we could have some really small ones. Like we need a link, like add a link to the tutorial, to the transform tutorial to the Verde homepage.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So it's like it's a small thing. The coding part is not hard, but it's mostly to get people used to doing the fork, pull request, and all that. Look at the CI, like have a little review, that kind of stuff. So if we could have a range from like adding an example to the documentation, or maybe a small function or a small feature to a function, to a relatively simple function, down to just add a link here, or fix a typo somewhere or something like that, even if it's just really tiny.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think the main obstacle for newcomers is not exactly. I mean, one of the obstacles is just to clone the repository, forget, and open the pull request, and push and everything. The Git related stuff.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
The coding, most people will know a little bit at least, but doing the whole GitHub dance is tricky.
Okay. We had an old issue that, yeah, the Prada isostasy, I think that would be very straightforward. We already have the IRE, so it's almost the same, just little minor changes. And we have some assignment here, but that's more than a year ago, so we can add it to the Hacktoberfest. Okay. Sorry, Brad isostasy.
Yep. Yeah. Well, one thing to be careful with is that some things that seem simple at first, like let's calculate the gravity of a sphere, they end up being huge, just huge technical discussions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's also a lot of maintenance regarding the. So there's two types of people that we can go after. There's geoscientists who want to get into coding, and there is coders who want a T-shirt. So for those tasks, like add this thing to the CI, or add this thing to the, like, add a plugin to the Flake8 linter, some like technical stuff that you don't really need to understand the project. That's great for that type of people. We're going to be searching GitHub for issues that they can fix so that they get a free T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be another set of issues. CI or general maintenance. Target the coders. Yeah. So it would be good to have like a mix of both.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Anything else, Agustina?
I don't know. I am thinking about the models in add different models in. I don't remember the name of the.
On Rockhound?
In Rockhound, maybe. No, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have deleted that. I need to merge and finish.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Or even just list Um,
A model that you want to put here, maybe.
yeah. So if you can think of models that are relatively straightforward to load, nothing like the which one was it, the slab 2 model that no,
No.
was it the slab model that was causing you trouble, or was it the
The
Uh,
litho.
litho? Yeah.
Little. Yes.
So if it's easier than litho, then we're good.
Yes. I need to think.
Okay. So add simple models to Rockhound.
Oh, just
Okay. Yeah, so something that would be straightforward to load, like something that pandas or NumPy could handle without too much trouble.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
okay.
All right. Anything else on Hacktoberfest?
No, I think we could. Yeah, in the following weeks we should think about uh, these little issues that sometimes we just fix it right away. So instead of fixing it, write an issue and add the Hacktoberfest label to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing is I was up late at night trying to stay awake these days. So I was I came across this blog post called Hypermodern Python. So it's a series of blog posts by I forget the person's name. Claudio Jolovic, something like that. Right. So it's really nicely written, and it's kind of like going over modern tooling for Python development.
Okay.
So he'll talk about like using these new tools for the packaging and setting up like virtual environments, but they use PyEnv, not Conda, so it doesn't really apply. But there are some interesting things in there that I think we could steal for some of our projects. One of them is that they really don't recommend PyLint, but they use Flake 8 quite a bit. And yeah, and we're always having trouble with PyLint, right? It's never satisfied. And when it breaks, we usually end up adding an exception instead of actually fixing what it's complaining about. So we tend to kind of ignore PyLint anyway. So one thing I thought we could do is ditch PyLint and then use some more Flake8 plugins. Right, so they use one called Bugbear, which catches a lot of stuff. But yeah, there's a whole chapter there on linting alone. So
Okay.
another interesting tool they use is called Nox. So this is pretty cool. I don't know if you've seen something called Tox before.
Yeah, Tox was something for testing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what Nox does is you write a Python script that defines tasks, so kind of like a makefile. But then you can tell it, like I can have a a check task that will depend on. So then you tell it what to install. So I can say install Black and Flake8 and these Flake8 plugins, and then run this command line program.
Okay.
right? And I can tell it to run this on different versions of Python.
Okay.
So for the testing, I can say install the things in this file, and then run this pytest command. And I want you to run this for Python 3.5 or 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, for example.
Okay.
Right? And then when you type, so if you're then on the command line and you type Nox, it'll run all the things that are defined in that file. And for each task, it creates a Conda environment, installs things, runs the tests, and by default, it throws the environment away. But you can tell it to keep the environment.
Okay.
So we could run on our computer, then if you want to run the tests on all Python versions, you can just type Nox and it'll do that.
Okay.
Right. So on the CI, instead of having 3 different builds for every different version of Python, we could just have one that just calls Nox, and then Nox will run it on several Python versions.
Okay.
And it creates the environment. So the scripts for creating the Conda environment that we have on CI, we wouldn't need that anymore.
Okay. And should we ditch the environment files, even though that we might use it as developers?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? If we're developing, we don't really need to use it if we're using Nox to do everything, right? So if we want to check the format, we do Nox check. If we want to run the test, we do Nox test. If we want to build the docs, we can do Nox docs. And then it'll have the environment already with whatever we need.
Okay.
So then we wouldn't need the environment.yaml file, because that's always bothered me, because then we have the dependencies, we have them listed in the requirements files and in the environment file. So that's kind of, every time we need to update that, it's one more file.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth looking into. It's nothing urgent. Like our setup is pretty good, but if you're bored and you want to do some straight up hacking task, then that doesn't involve any geophysics. Like if you're just fed up with geophysics and you want to learn a new tool, this is a good way to procrastinate.
Okay.
And the final thing I saw there is that there's a tool called Setup Tools SCM, and this is basically the new versioneer.
Okay.
But you install it as a dependency, so we don't need to put that ugly versioneer code in our repository.
Okay.
We just specify it as a build dependency, and everything else should work pretty much the same as versioneer.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is actually maintained. So the versioneer code we have there, I think I added that to one of the projects maybe 8 years ago, and we just copy it ever since. So we never updated it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's also like a small thing that we could do to just replace versioneer with Setup Tools SCM. And I'm generally copy. So what I would say is copy whatever MetPy does, because they're really good at all these things. So I tend to just go and look at what they did and then do the same.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I completely agree with the piling stuff. I cannot count how many times I faced piling complaints, and asking the permission of adding an ignore. So yeah, and running piling is not very straightforward. Like it takes a long time, even using the whole course of my PC. So, and I cannot run it on my text editor because it takes too long. So it's not like flagate that I run it every time I save the file. So yeah, it's really bothering, and I always forget how to write the ignore, so I have to look for how to write it. And when you see it, the ignore on the source code, it's not very clear what it's ignoring. Like, so it's annoying to have it. So if we could find something like that works faster and doesn't complain a lot, that would be nice. I haven't seen any Flagate plugins that would do the same. But
I don't think they do exactly the same, but there's a bunch of them.
okay.
There's a lot of plugins for Flagate.
So one of the things I like from Pylint is, for example, telling you that you had some argument or some variable that is not used anywhere else. Sometimes Pylint complains about you have 16 argument variables inside a certain function or method, and it has a strict threshold to 15, which is like, come on, it's one more. It's not like I'm having 40 variables. So, besides that, it has a nice. So what I'm saying is, it's nice to have a warning that we have a lot of variables, but I would like to be a little more flexible about it.
But sometimes we need it, right?
Yeah, sometimes we do. So that takes me to another feature that I like from Pylint. When you have like a lot of if statements, it has a nice, this function is too complex. And that's good because it's not telling it has 16 over 15 variables, which is some arbitrary, but it's too complex. It's nice because it's too complex. You will face issues in the future with this.
Flakate has that.
Yeah. So I think that's the stuff I do like from Pylint. Also the warnings about missing doc strings. But yeah, it do has a lot of errors and complaints about things that could be more flexible about.
Yeah. What comes to mind is like the big equations that we have sometimes, where there's nothing we can do. The equation is huge. We need 20 variables for that one equation. There's really nothing we can do. And then what we end up doing is like, well, we use two functions instead of one, and that, like, the only reason we do that is so that Pylint will shut up.
Yeah.
That feels wrong.
Yeah, and big math, it's one case where a lot of variables is better than having huge computation in a single line. So that's one exception of try to make everything Python more Pythonish, like having everything on one single line. But it's an exception to that rule.
Right. So, well, we do need to create some issues maybe for these things. Right. So, need some issues for these. So let's say we should do it in one project and then see how it works, and then we can start porting to the others.
Yes, I agree. One thing I always struggle with is all these issues and features we like to implement on every project, and we do it only in one because we are testing. We merge it, and sometimes we forgot to apply it to every library. So I don't know. We could have like I'm just brainstorming here. We could have like a repository for maintenance where we could just open issues that would be common to every or most of the libraries of Fatiando. So, for example, we could have this like implement ditch pilot. So we can start implementing on Verde, but we wouldn't close the main issue on this repository until every library is updated.
Okay. And then we can link back using the pull requests. So we can always mention that issue so that everything's linked.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So have a central repo for maintenance tasks. We can open these all projects there instead. Link back from. Okay. Yeah, we could do that, or we could just have issues in every single repository. But I like the central one better.
I tend to forget to open issues on every library. It's like I'm having this thought on Verde, for example, and I forgot. And maybe I open Harmonica, Bool, Rockhound, and I forgot Pooch, for example. So having one centralized, I think it's better, because before you close it, you would check if it's solved on every library or not. Yeah.
So do we need a new repository for this, or could we use an existing one?
You can
I don't
have
know.
a repository with maintainer information.
Yes. So we have
there.
What is it called?
Have the contributing.
Yeah. So yeah, we have the contributing, and we have the continuous integration. Maybe not, but there's the contributing repository.
Yeah.
So this has the maintenance guide, contributing guides, and authorship guides. Yeah. So this is mostly the guides, but yeah, we could also make this like a general maintenance repository.
Okay.
Since the maintainer's guide is already there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good call, Agustina.
Thank you.
Uh,
And I think that there you have some issues about the maintainers of the package.
yeah.
So maybe it's the same.
Yeah, in fact, we already had. Yeah, you're right. In fact, we already had the migrate the CIs to GitHub Actions. I mean, it's just it's here on the contributing, but yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? Migrate the CIs to GitHub Actions. That's something that would apply to every package and also to this repository. So yeah, having
there's the release drafter issue by Hugo.
Yeah.
As well, that so this is something that we did exactly that, right? It was open here. So it's amazing how many things like we discuss here, and then when we look back, like, oh yeah, we did this already. So we had this issue of using this release drafter tool in this repository, and then we said, yeah, let's try it on Rockhound first, and then we see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, contributing would be that. So to do would be to add a section to the contributing repo README about just about doing this. Right, so it would be good if we add a note in the README saying that maintenance tasks that apply to all our projects should be opened here.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So anything else on the hypermodern Python section?
No, I like I like trying new stuff that could simplify the maintenance work. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
What's next?
Yeah. So next is migrating things to actions. Right. So I did this a while back for Pooch. So I managed to move everything to actions, and it's really nice. Actually, it's a lot faster than Azure and Travis CI. And doing the release, so everything that needs a password is a lot easier to do than when we had Travis. Because with Travis, we had to encrypt whatever password with the Travis public key, and for that you need to install the Travis gem file. It was like a huge mess to do that. And with Actions, there's pre-built things to do all that.
Yep.
Right, so the downloading Miniconda and installing it, there's already a recipe for that. We don't need to redo it. So some things I did need to use our scripts. So it was mostly setting up the Conda environment and pushing the docs, because we have this very specific setup where we create new folders and then do a link to latest. So that part I kind of had to copy.
Okay.
But everything else worked really nicely. It was pretty easy to do. And the actions there are actually better than what we had before. So one thing we have is that whenever we merge something on master, we make a release to the test PyPI server.
Okay.
So that's the exact same thing as PyPI, but packages there get deleted sometimes, and you don't pip install things from there.
Okay.
But so every commit.
Sorry.
Is that there or here? So right now, every commit on master for Pooch gets released to test PyPI. So the nice thing about that is that if something is broken with the release, we'll catch it before we try to do a release. Because this has happened before, where there was a bug in the releasing code, and then when you only notice when you're trying to do a release, it can be a little bit annoying.
Nice.
Yeah, so the main thing that needs to happen here is that everything is already defined in Pooch, in the so we could copy whatever is there everywhere else. One way to simplify this is that I found out that we can make they call them composite steps. So we can take some complicated thing that we have in the GitHub Actions steps. We can combine that into a separate file and then use it in other repositories.
Okay.
So yeah, so a lot of the stuff that we have in Pooch, some of the scripts are very long. The CI scripts in Pooch are long. So a lot of that we could copy to the main fatiando. Sorry, not contributing here. This would be continuous integration. So we could create these composite steps in that repository, and then we can use that in the other projects.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say if we can do this this part first, then porting the other projects to GitHub Actions should be pretty easy. There's the main difficulty is getting the PyPI deploy keys, the PyPI and the test PyPI keys for every single project. So we have to get it for every single project and then copy it in the GitHub thing. But there's instructions for that online. It's not too bad.
Okay. So we should fix it for push first, and then move every other project to actions, right?
Yeah. So I would say in the continuous integration repo, which create these composite steps from whatever is on Pooch. And then we can do that on master, and then we can test using them in Pooch. If everything works correctly, then we can make a new release of the continuous integration and then copy whatever is in Pooch everywhere else.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with this. I mean, Travis is a great project that, yeah, I learned CIs from Travis, so I will always have it in my heart.
Yeah.
But I will also have the moments where Travis was down and the CIs couldn't run and everything.
Yeah.
And also the part that we had to write a lot of scripts to automate stuff, while on GitHub Actions, you can find a lot of actions in the marketplace where they are available for free and they are maintained. So
Yeah.
it's much easier to just
Yeah.
outsource that. Yeah,
I also don't trust them too much.
Okay.
Because they have the power to push things to GitHub repos.
Okay. Yeah.
So giving that power to just a random code someone wrote, like some random person wrote, I feel like that's a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you're tagging the versions of the actions, right, by the hash.
Yeah, that fixes some vulnerabilities, but we still have to trust that that version of the code doesn't do anything bad.
Okay.
So I'm trying to only use actions that are very widely used, or they are by GitHub, or like by people that we trust, right? So there's like the Conda setup action that's made by some people behind Conda and Conda Forge, right? The release to PyPI action that's done by the Python packaging group.
Okay.
So those things that are more trustworthy, I tend to trust more.
Okay. Yeah, and as you said, it works much faster than Azure or Travis. So yeah, and having a single CI service, I think it's much easier to maintain.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it's easier to see as well. Like it was becoming a bit of a hassle to find, like to actually get to the Travis run. We had to click like five times sometimes.
Yeah. And for example, Azure deletes the build status every now and then. So if you want to see why an old PR failed, you have to rerun it because it has been deleted. So yeah. Okay.
Okay, so there's a bit of a step-by-step there of how we could pull this off.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is good, and maybe we can simplify our CIs as well while we're at it. Because the less we run, I've been feeling kind of bad about the environmental impact of our CI runs. It's like, well, computing takes energy. So now I feel kind of bad when I'm running like the CI for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, like testing on 3 different systems, 4 different Python versions for a typo fix in the README.
Yeah.
That feels wrong somehow.
Yeah, you're right, but I don't know. I don't know if there is a way to just simplify or lower the amount. I mean, one way would be this, like move everything to a single service, so we don't have too many services running the same. Yeah, but about the typo fix, I don't know. I would just, my recommendation in that case would be push and merge quickly before the CI start testing everything up.
Yeah. Yeah, or cancel the build.
Yeah. Also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So anything else on GitHub Actions and just CI in general?
That's good for me. Aus, what do you think?
No, it's okay. Sorry, I blocked my microphone because I have the echo for Santiago.
All right, so let's move on to the last topic then.
Okay. Yeah, I wrote this morning. So after the NumPy that has a new paper on Nature, there was some discussions on Twitter regarding the fact that the 26 authors of the paper were male. So it's not like I mean, I do understand that the open source environment I mean, you manage with the contributors that you acquire in the past, and I know for sure that neither SciPy or NumPy has a gatekeeping policy hitting. So I also think the same about Fatiando, that even the code of conduct says that we are trying to build a nice environment for everyone to contribute and use and comment and participate on the meetings. But I also think that we should be raising the awareness that we have a kind of a lack of diversity on the projects. So it's not like trying to blame, because we are few by definition, but I don't want to see Fatiando grow with just white males on it. So I was thinking about trying to think about new strategies to invite new contributors from underrepresented social groups. So one thing that I was seeing abroad is the idea to commend the people in Geoladinas to contribute on the Hacktoberfest. That's a nice initiative.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, we've had this diversity problem from the start. And yeah, and again, like you were saying, like, oh, not to blame or anything, but really, like, I haven't actively gone and tried to fix this, right? So it's always something that, like, well, yeah, I do encourage this, but just trying not to create barriers is different from actively removing them, the ones that already exist. And that part of the work, yeah, you're right. I never did, and really we need to start doing, because clearly just sitting and waiting is not enough. And yeah, I agree. So really reaching out to Latinas and trying to actively work with them, to see how we can get more, well, get the ones that really want to do open source, get some people involved, and kind of offer them something in return, right? So I mean, we have a lot to gain from them being involved in the project, but what do they have to gain, right? Why would they waste their time doing this? Uh, uh, but if we can build bridges between the Fatiando project and the Gelatinas group, that would be really good.
Okay. I think that tomorrow we have a meeting with the idea to discuss different repository to learn to use, and one of them is Fatiando. So I try to, I don't know, I don't know if I can to do a tutorial, but maybe some of you too, you can do it, and maybe it's a good way to open the door for this new collaboration. Maybe, I don't know. I know that some people they are not know to code, but some people not, and maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Start with that. I don't know.
Yeah. So would you mean like a workshop on, or like a session on one of the Fatiando tools?
Maybe I need to talk with the girls. In general, we are always women, but I need to talk with to them and try to see what is her ideas about Fatiando. Maybe in that way we can present something like the transform or something like that. I don't know. In general, they try to learn repositories for his works. They work.
Okay.
I think that is the idea, but I don't know.
Yeah, and so do you know if the group itself has an interest in, besides learning how to use the tools, but in being part of building the tools? Or I mean, is this something that has come up in
I think that
conversations?
the idea is the two part, using and contribute.
Okay.
They have the two. Are people more interested in use, and some people don't. So
Okay.
maybe I don't know. Maybe I can try to talk with her, with Jay, and see what happened.
Yeah, that would be great. So if you could do that, and then let us know, that would be really good. Yeah, see what kind of things that they want, and well, since you're kind of bridging the two worlds, then you kind of what we can offer them as well. So yeah, if there's anything we can do, then just let us know. I would be more than happy to help with anything.
Okay.
Okay.
My impression from the transform tutorial we had, and also from the Python course I gave here, is that we had a pretty amount of diversity there. Like I had almost 50-50 women and males on the Python course, and I think on the tutorial a lot of women were participating and also talking in the chat and asking questions. So I think there is a lot of interested of a lot of women and other identities from being users. The thing is that